A simple Google search would tell you that Drake is worth $250 million, with some websites going as high as 500, but here's the part nobody's ready for. Those numbers are completely fake. And the moment you start looking into what Drake actually owns versus what he actually spends, a couple uncomfortable questions show up. Is Drake actually a billionaire? Or does he have a spending problem that's way bigger than what people realize?
Who's the only billionaire that I know that don't want people to know he a billionaire?
37-year-old billionaire.
Before we get into anything, you need to understand one thing. The net worth numbers that you see online are fake. Celebrity net worth websites don't verify anything, they don't talk to accountants, they don't have access to contracts, they literally just guess. They make up numbers because the more celebrity networks they add, the more people click, and the more that people click, the more ads they can run. That's the whole business model. Like, none of it's real.
Did a quick Google search. It says your net worth is $5 million.
I don't think nobody on that Google net worth is real. It's correct. It's accurate.
Yeah.
Nobody.
I'm sure you're well past that mark.
All right.
Okay, so the net worth websites are bullshit, but what about Forbes? Here's the thing people don't understand about Forbes. Yes, they are accurate, but only when they can actually see the money. Forbes' whole system is built on two things: publicly available information or the celebrity handing over the receipts themselves. Kanye was a billionaire for years before they gave it to him, and that was just off the Adidas Yeezy deal. So when they crowned someone like Rihanna a billionaire, they didn't just magically guess her net worth. Forbes simply followed the paper trail. Fenty Beauty publicly hit a $2.8 billion valuation, and because it's public knowledge that Rihanna owns 50% of that company, her billionaire status was automatic. With that said, there's a lot that Forbes can't see. Forbes cannot track privately owned companies. If a celebrity fails to reveal their business's revenue, like how Fenty did, Forbes has nothing to calculate. And in the case of Drake, he has 52 LLCs in his name, which seems fishy, but they're all private. Forbes can't track ownership stakes, jewelry, offshore holdings, private investments, contract agreements, or private real estate. And a lot of these things make up Drake's fortune. Let's start with something that you can actually see with your own two eyes, and that's the real estate. As of 2025, Drake has 3 public properties. First, we have the Toronto Embassy, which is valued at $100 million. The embassy sits in Toronto's Bridle Path, which is basically the richest street in Canada. The house is ridiculous. Like, it's insane. Then we have Drake's Beverly Hills mansion, and back in July, it was listed for sale at $79 million. Every amenity you can think of. Like, he basically owns a hotel. The last public property on the list was purchased by Drake at the end of 2024, and this is his $15 million Texas ranch. It looks like a perfect place to chill out, get away from the noise. It's got like horses and shit. It looks relaxing. So just with these 3 public homes alone, Drake's net worth is already at $205 million. And let's be realistic. Do you really believe that's all Drake owns? Is 3 properties?
I'm out here making a mockery. I got my realtor out here playing Monopoly. How can I address you when you don't own property?
It's impossible to know how much money Drake has floating around in private real estate, but I would imagine it's pretty significant. Then, of course, we have Drake's outrageous spending habit on jewelry and memorabilia, and yes, these are all assets that make up his net worth. Let's start with the category that people always forget about, the collectibles.
I plan to buy your most personal belongings when they up for auction. Man, truth be told, I think about it often.
First, we'll start with the bigger items. Drake purchased Tupac's actual ring for $1 million, and we also know that he spent $3.3 million on Pharrell Williams' personal chains.
This is museum pieces. This is museum jewelry. This should really be in a museum.
Drake's got more jewelry belonging to Pharrell than Pharrell has jewelry belonging to himself. And that's not even the only rapper. Drake quietly scooped up Frank Ocean's Homer Met Gala necklace for $1.9 million. This was a purchase that was revealed at a Raptors game in 2022, and it gave an entirely different meaning to Drake's line on Privileged Rappers.
The diamonds they hit like a rainbow, that's cause the necklace of Frank Purr.
He also bought the matching Homer bracelet, which was $271K. Then we get back to Tupac. Drake also owns Pac's diamond death row chain, valued at around $500,000. Insiders believe that Drake owns more Tupac items, but it's just not public. The man even has an official Michael Jackson glove for $420,000, plus a signed Thriller album that is so rare the value is unknown. We saw some of these items in the Family Matters video.
The honorable thing is to give me the loot.
Speaking of Family Matters, there's even a Pablo Escobar autograph that shows up, which is so rare that I couldn't even find a public valuation for it. These are items that you would usually find in a museum that he's just got in his house. And this is where net worth calculations get very difficult, because so much of Drake's collection isn't publicly listed anywhere. Because he collects a lot of different things, it's impossible to know what else he has. Like the time he dropped over $200,000 on sealed NBA flawless card boxes. Nobody really knows what rare cards Drake has in his possession, or just how large his card collection actually is.
Show us. Oh my God.
Now, when it comes to sports, there are some things that we do actually know. Drake owns signed, game-worn jerseys from Kobe, Jordan, LeBron, Rodman, and a long list of other legends. This is huge when you look at the fact that a single Jordan jersey could go anywhere from $15K all the way up to the millions. And he's got multiple jerseys per athlete. And Drake's collection isn't limited to just the NBA. He has signed jerseys and memorabilia from pretty much every big-name athlete across all different types of sports. He's basically got like a little Hall of Fame going on in his house. Then we can't forget that Drake is also one of the biggest sneaker collectors in hip-hop, including items like a pair of solid gold Air Jordan 10s worth $2 million on their own. You know, we see him wearing the Eminem Carhartt 4s like they're $40K. We don't know what else he has in his collection. Then, of course, we have Drake's personal jewelry. These are the pieces that he's had custom made for himself over the years. This collection is massive, but we'll start with the monster. Drake's $13 million necklace featuring 42 VVS diamonds, representing the 42 women he almost proposed to. One necklace, $13 million.
It's one of the craziest chains in hip-hop history. Might I say, it might be even the #1 chain ever. Tell me a chain that's fucking with that chain.
And like I said, it doesn't stop there because he has a lot. The multicolored owl chain, $120K. The life-size gold and diamond owl, around $500K. The OVO owl head, $77K. The Stone Island chain, $150K. The 2 Jesus Piece Tupac chains, $600K. The Ski Mask Cupid chain, $300K. The Virgil Clogsworth piece, $200K. The Crown of Jewels chain, $200K. The heart necklace, $1 million. The giant Big O chain with over 2,000 VVS diamonds, price unknown, but you already know it's insane. And I'm barely scratching the surface of what he actually owns, and I'm not even covering rings, bracelets, earrings. I'm leaving that stuff out. From just the items that we know the value of, and this is extremely conservative, Drake's collection is sitting at around $40 million. Now, some people might say this is stupid shit to spend your money on, but when you're like a global superstar, that's really not the case. Think of it this way, Drake's pieces are real gold, real diamonds, custom made by elite jewelers, one-of-a-kind pieces, fully insured, and all these pieces are historically significant. Think about it, a chain that once belonged to Drake is memorabilia, much like a Pharrell chain or a Tupac chain. Like, he can leave these things for his kids' if he wants. So with just real estate, jewelry, and memorabilia, that pushes Drake's net worth up to $240 million, and this is very conservative. Speaking of collectibles and art, I got to show you my very talented friend's business. I don't know if you guys caught the painting that's sitting on the floor behind me, but this is a print that was originally painted by hand by my friend AK Got Art. I went with the Nipsey, Rick Ross, Jay-Z combo, but she has way more options on her website. Like, take a look at this Mac Miller that she painted, and also this massive piece of Young Dolph. She's just a woman that loves hip-hop with an extreme amount of talent, and she's putting it all to good use. She did this beautiful piece of Lotto, and Lotto saw it and bought it. Lotto actually purchased the painting for herself. An extreme amount of time and detail goes into these pieces, and the original work is worth every penny. But if that's out of your price point, all of her pieces are available as a canvas, just like the one that I have. As you can see, she has everyone from Wayne, Drake, Nas. This piece of Takeoff is really dope. We got Ye, Nip, and so many others. Instead of going to some corporation for like a basic ass print, like these are the people we should be supporting. She's just a girl that does this in her house. Also, you can use the code WTD20 and you'll get 20% off your order. So visit www.akgotart.com to check it out. Even if you don't get one, if you were to get one, let me know which rapper you would get in the comments.
143 Rolexes in my collection.
And that number is apparently accurate. Like, I guess he counted. Drake started investing in watches the moment he became wealthy, and the beautiful thing about most luxury timepieces is more times than not, they only go up in value. First, let's start with the heavy hitters. Drake is a massive fan of Richard Mille watches, and his collection is just as ridiculous as everything else that he owns. He's got the RM55 Bubba Watson, which is a watch that jumped from $265K to nearly $450.
Got a Bubba on my other hand. This shit ain't no 100 bands.
Then there's the RM69 Erotic. This is the watch with the rotating sexual phrases. Drake paid $750K, but now this is easily $1 million piece. Only 30 of those watches made. Then he's got an RM35 at $275, and he even owns an RM2704, and that watch is valued at $2 million.
So Drake just bought this watch, right?
Yeah.
$2.3
million.
2.2 for the Raffi Nadal. Don't act like you're happy for me now.
Again, only 50 of these were made, so these are all rare watches. Last but not least for the Richard Milles, Drake has a custom RM56 that set him back a whopping $5.5 million. And that's a 101 custom watch. Then there's the fact that Drake also has a large amount of AP and Patek Philippe watches, and those range anywhere between $200K all the way up into the $1 million price point. It would take me way too long to name each item, but he's got like a couple Patek Nautilus, one of them was $800K, he's got a bunch of APs. Then there's the fact that Drake owns plenty of really unique pieces. We all know he loves to gamble, so it wasn't shocking when he scooped the Astronomia Casino watch, which is valued at $600K. That watch is dope. Like, it's got like a roulette wheel. You press a button and the wheel spins, and I think it's got like a ball in there and shit too. Then perhaps the most sacred and special watch in his collection is the custom green Virgil Patek Philippe. Now, this is a watch that many people love the look of, and countless have tried to replicate and fake it, but only 2 of these pieces actually exist, and the value is unknown.
I got one Virgil, got one, and that there's the only 2.
The resale on a piece of that significance is gonna be insanely high. Drake also has so many Rolexes that it would take a 20-minute video just to go through it, and with Rolexes, the guy doesn't discriminate at all. He's a big day-date connoisseur. 1 minute, he might be rocking a plain Jane. The next day, you'll see him with a crazy Arabic style or a super rare iced out one. Then he's got a bunch of rare Daytonas like the Paul Newman, the Barbie, and this crazy rainbow piece which went for $600K. He's also a big fan of the Sky Dweller, one of which costs $800K, and then he has another one that costs $1.5 million. And the thing about Drake's collection is most of his watches are factory diamonds, so like these are holding their value. A lot of times they're going up. Just based on the watches that we can actually confirm, Drake's collection already sits at over $20 million, but when you factor in 140 plus Rolexes and just how many of those pieces have went up in value, a much more accurate estimate for Drake's collection is likely closer to 30 mil. And I feel like I'm being very conservative with this number, honestly. So with everything that we've covered so far, Drake's net worth jumps up to around $270 million. And this number grows even more when we look at his car collection. Drake's vehicle collection is absolutely insane, and I've grouped them into categories starting with the supercars. First, we had the Bugatti Veyron Sang Noir, and that set him back 2.2 mil. That car is a weapon. Like, there's only 12 in existence. Then we have my personal favorite supercar that Drake owns, which is a Ferrari LaFerrari that he copped in 2018, and that one car set him back 3.5 mil. And this car made an appearance in the I'm Upset music video, and again, there's only 500 made.
Niggas asking if I'm cool, I'm upset.
They created a replica of this car that was flying around in the sky on one of his tours. That was actually just this big ass balloon that you control like a drone. Then we've got what in my opinion is the best looking supercar in his collection, and that is the Lamborghini Aventador Roadster, which Drake dropped $450,000 on.
I'ma spend the summer getting to the cake and I'ma wish a nigga would on every candle. I'm like,
I just love that color, like that matte gray look like that. It just looks amazing, and that's a weapon too, like 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. Then we've got Drake's McLaren 675 LT, which he purchased to celebrate finishing the Views album for a cool $350K. One of the best McLarens ever made, and again, only 500 exist. And that's not even the only McLaren that Drake owns, as he also has the super rare SLR McLaren from when they teamed up with Mercedes, and that car set him back $450K.
soon as you give them your soul, you blow up and they say you're selling your soul, okay?
Beautiful car and limited production. It's rare. And we can't forget about Drake's armored Apocalypse super truck that he spent $200,000 on. Under the hood of this absolute unit is a Hemi Hellcat V8 engine, and it puts out 870 horsepower.
The guy was absolutely awesome to work with, right? Very, very, very smart guy. Knows exactly what he wants.
So Drake's got that in Texas because that's the perfect place for it, right? Like, you're supposed to abuse and beat the shit out of that vehicle. Like, that's what it's for. Fun truck. Moving on from the supercars, we get to Drake's Bentleys, starting with the convertible Continental, which set him back $300K. This is the car that was in the Start It From The Bottom music video.
I gave you the keys, so you bring it right back, nigga.
And that's not even the only Bentley that Drake owns, as he also has the Mulsanne coming in at $305,000. Don't get me wrong, I love the look of the Mulsanne, but it doesn't compete with the Phantom to me. I think the Phantom looks way better. On the topic of Phantoms, we can't forget Drake's Mansory Ghost, which he dropped $700,000 on. This is the one with the custom owl emblem that we saw in Chicago Freestyle.
You know what it is whenever I visit.
It's just such a nice car. Like, the thing is perfect. And Drake is a huge fan of Rolls Royces. He has a Wraith, which cost him $250,000. And then we can't forget the custom Chrome Hearts Cullinan coming in at over $3 million. I never really understood the whole Chrome Hearts thing, but either way, 101, insane car. However, something that Drake might like even a little more than a Rolls Royce is Mercedes, more specifically the Maybach, and I'm sure many of you remember his infamous Pullman, which came in at $600K.
I just got me the Mercedes Pullman. You niggas never heard of it, you gotta hit up Google.
So that's like one of the fanciest limos that you could buy, and I'm pretty sure it's also armored. Even more impressive than that is Drake's Brabus 850S, which is like an insane off-road G-Wagon that cost him $800K.
One of 15 off-road G-Wagon. Drake's actually ordered one of these.
Only 15 of these made, and this is something that also belongs at that Texas ranch. Speaking of the G-Wagon, Drake also has the Landaulet Maybach version, which is pretty much the nicest G-Wagon that you can get, and that ran him $2 million. Really, this is another off-road vehicle, but like, to me, I think it's too nice to abuse. Like, I wouldn't want to get a scratch on it. Then we've got what is likely one of Drake's most prized possessions out of all of his fleet, and that is the Virgil designed 680S Maybach. And he's made the claim that he owns two.
I got two Virgil Benzes, one that I'm whipping right now, and the other one I'm keeping in mint condition.
The 680S is my favorite luxury car that he has. Like, I just love the two-tone look. Like, the two colors are perfect. So with all the vehicles I just showed you, Drake's car collection is valued at approximately $20 million. But with that said, this is nowhere near his full fleet. I'm not even including things like Escalades that he owns, and even when I look at Tony Bett's Instagram account, and he's Drake's personal car dealer, I see a whole lot of vehicles that have been tagged with Drake's name, and it's very clear that Tony only tags Drake in vehicles that he actually purchased, with many saying congrats to Drake, which means he also owns a $500,000 Ferrari F12, another Maybach 680S at $300K, a Maybach SUV at $200, a Brabus S Coupe at $450, and a whole bunch of vehicles that are sitting outside of his Toronto home, which gives me the confidence to bump Drake's collection up to around $30 million, putting his net worth at an even $300 million. These are high-value assets, just like Drake's investments. Drake is a very active investor, especially in tech companies like Wealthsimple. Now, we can't be sure how much Drake invested, but in 2021, he put up a sizable amount. When he bought in, Wealthsimple was valued at $1.5 billion, and now just 4 years later, the valuation is sitting at $10 billion.
Investors include Drake, Ryan Reynolds, and Michael J. Fox.
The company is worth 10 times more than when he invested, so clearly he made some good money. Another company that yielded great wins for Drake was 100 Thieves, an esports gaming company. He made a sizable investment back in 2018 when the company's value was $90 million, and today it sits at $500.
We wanted to raise more money and bring more smart people into 100 Thieves. At the top of your list and the top of my list were Drake.
Drake invested enough into this company to the point where he's considered a co-owner. Drizzy also invested in a company called Overtime, which is a digital media company for youth sports, and that company also tripled in value since his initial investment.
They raised that capital from some big names. Jeff Bezos, Drake.
Now, like anything, he didn't always win. Drake invested in a company called Aspiration in 2021, which was a company for sustainable banking, but by 2025, the company went bankrupt, and the co-founder was even linked to wire fraud.
Was arrested for allegedly defrauding investors of $145 million.
So unless he pulled his money out at the right time, he probably lost on this one. Without going through all of his investment portfolio, Drake struck gold with companies like Network, Status Pro, Moonplay, Matcha Bar, and Daring Foods. And based off company valuations, it seems like he made money off all these investments. Speaking of food, Drake hit big with Dave's Hot Chicken, a rapidly growing fast food chain.
Because I saw the headline about Drake getting involved with some Dave's Hot Chicken.
He has ownership in the entire brand, right?
The company exploded and it sold last year for $1 billion. Knowing that Drake is a massive investor, it's obvious he's participated in a lot more than what I've listed, because these are only the companies that have been made public. With all that said, based on the valuations of the companies that we know he's invested in, it's very reasonable to estimate that Drake has to have at least $100 million in investment equity, and I'm definitely lowballing him with this figure, which would bring his net worth up to $400 million. Then we have Drake's companies that he actually owns himself, and business has been booming since he started. As I mentioned earlier, American Reports for Aubrey Graham shows 52 LLCs registered in his name with roles like manager and CEO. And let's take a look at some of these LLCs. There are 9 LLCs that use the name Dream Crew and 18 that feature Drake's initials. Then we have 2 that reference owls, one called Owl Creative Holdings, and a company called Strix, which in mythology is an owl that eats humans. I guess even Drake's LLC's got like subliminal meanings. Drake also has an LLC named Away From Home Touring, named after one of my favorite Drake records.
Dead broke, splitting pennies with my members. For the spread, we were splitting chicken tenders.
Now, what is he doing? Like, is this alarming? Why does Drake have this many LLCs?
So you want to keep every single one of those businesses, in effect, well, segregated, in the sense that any risks related to that project and getting sued or having going broke or anything to do with that particular project are isolated to that particular project and the assets of that particular entity, and it doesn't sort of bring the rest of your entire business empire down.
The way he's moving in business is exactly the way any Fortune 500 CEO moves. For example, the Richard Fitzenwell LLC was used to purchase his Hollywood Hills mansion. Celebrities will often use other names for privacy purposes, so not just anyone can look up your address. It also protects Drake in the event he's sued, so they can't target his home as it's legally separate. And again, in the realm of taxes, this is very common and smart. With that said, let's get into the important stuff. How much money is Drake making from these companies? Well, let's start with OVO. First off, 3 people own OVO, and that is Drake, Oliver, and 40. Now, we don't have a public valuation for the business itself, but it reportedly generates $60 million in revenue every year. And this was the revenue they reported back in 2018, and I know damn well it's way higher now. In the last couple years, I've noticed a huge shift with OVO where they've gone full speed ahead with joint partnerships with the NBA, NFL, Canada Goose, NHL, Disney, and many others. Just like this OVO Montreal Canadiens had. Then we have Dream Crew Entertainment, and this was the company that we saw that had 9 different variations of names for LLCs. I honestly feel like this Dream Crew company is really the company that's going to make Drake billions years down the road. This is the executive company behind massive hit shows like Euphoria and all the other shows that you see here. Now, I could be wrong, but the reason for all the different LLCs is they are likely setting up a new company for every movie or TV show that they work on. That's how every major production company operates. That's like Hollywood standard. When it comes to Dream Crew, unfortunately, it's a private company that has never released any revenue or sales data, so it's tough to know what it's actually worth. It's a very impressive outfit, but I just don't know what it's worth. Then Drake has a bunch of smaller companies like Virginia Black Whiskey, Mod Selection Champagne, his Better World Fragrance Company, his Knock the Nike partnership, the OVO Sound record label. He also owns the Share Club, which is an exclusive lounge in the Air Canada Centre. And of course, he works with the gambling company Stake, which reportedly pays him $100 million a year. Keep in mind, these are just the companies that we actually know about that are public. With the Stake deal, the OVO clothing line, the production company, the whiskey, the Share Club, the Knock the Deal, and all the companies we just named, it's very fair and conservative to say that this bumps Drake's net worth up to a minimum of $750 million. When you consider just how recognizable this owl has become, like the IP, the assets of OVO, like this is a big company. Then last but not least, the sole reason why any of the other categories even exist is Drake's music, aka his catalog. And yes, if he owns the music, this is part of his net worth. One thing that is believed is that Drake does not seem to own 100% of his catalog, as it's indicated his earlier music was sold off by Young Money Cash Money, which at one point sadly included Drake's master recordings. With that said, it's believed that Drake does own music after 2018, and based on the music he's released, that catalog alone is worth $250 million plus. Now, if he can actually get ownership of his full catalog, Drake's catalog is worth $1 billion, easily. Now, some of you might be wondering why I didn't include every dollar that Drake has made from music or label deals over the course of his career, and that's simple. That's just not how net worth works. What you earn versus what you have is 2 completely different things, and if there's one thing we've learned from this breakdown, it's that Drake does not mind spending money. That's why I focused on his assets, the things that we can actually verify and calculate, and even then, we're still not capturing the full picture. Drake has made a massive fortune from music, brand partnerships, and his business. He's also been invested in cryptocurrency as far back as 2016, when Bitcoin was just under $1,000, and today it's pushing closer to 100K. It's widely believed that Drake is a heavy crypto investor, and on top of that, there are rumors ongoing that he has a significant stake in the Gamma record label. Now, of course, none of this has been confirmed, but if true, it would only push his wealth even higher. Even when we looked at the real estate, we all know we're not living in a world where Aubrey Graham only owns 3 properties. I can say with full confidence that's not even close to reality, and the same goes for everything else that we talked about. his jewelry, his memorabilia, his car collection, we know for a fact that these collections are much bigger than what we can publicly verify, and his investment and business portfolio also go way deeper than what I've been able to show you. Either way, I'm very comfortable saying that on paper, Drake is absolutely a billionaire, and honestly, I believe he's worth even more than that.
Please don't Google my net worth, the numbers are way off. I mean, if you're comparing it to what I really made off with.
By the way, if you like this video, try this one right here, or you can try this one right here.